So about 2 months ago, if there was one word used to describe me, it would probably be overwhelmed. But today, and probably in the last 2 weeks, that word has gradually changed from overwhelmed to burnout. So about 2 months ago, I was definitely feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And I think a lot of it really started with the MPH program. And not to say that I wasn't feeling stressed or overwhelmed before, because I certainly was. But since I began the MPH program, I've certainly reached another level of being stressed and overwhelmed. With that being said, though, I was still able to kind of push through it, kind of stay encouraged and stay motivated to do well in both my work and my school life, I guess now. But in the last 2 weeks, I feel like I almost got hit by a truck. It's actually been kind of tough, and I think it's like a combination of things that just all happened at once. And one of those, the first things is moving. Moving is always like a stressful time. I'm in my new apartment actually right now. I moved in with my colleague. We're saving a lot of money moving in together, so that was great. But the moving, I've been packing kind of like sporadically over the last month or so in anticipation of the move. But we confirmed a date and we said we're going to move into the new apartment starting February 14th and move out of our old apartment by February 28th. So we had a nice little leeway, but we wanted to get a lot of the stuff out ASAP. So we booked a U-Haul on February 14th on Valentine's Day, which was a Wednesday, to get out all the big items, your beds, your couches, your furniture, things like that. So we did that. We said we'd do it, and it was a hectic day. I think that's truly where it kind of started. On February 14th, Wednesday, I think it was 3 p.m. to 10 or 11 p.m. we were just moving all these large items. And I think what added to that stress at that time was my midterm for epidemiology was that Saturday. So Wednesday was the U-Haul truck, and then Saturday was my midterm. And I was a little behind in my lectures and getting some of the homework done. So I wasn't fully ready for the midterm. And so in between moving and work, I was just thinking about that midterm the whole time. On top of that, the Parkland shooting happened on Wednesday, and it didn't really fully hit me because I was just so busy moving. I didn't even realize all the stuff that was going on, and I just kind of heard about it through sporadic checks on Facebook. But that whole time during Wednesday and Thursday and leading up to Friday, it started to sink in, and it was just another thing that just really was depressing. I was born and raised in Florida. I knew a lot of people that are close with those kids, and that shooting, even despite all the mass shootings that have occurred in the United States, really impacted me in another way, and certainly left me feeling very depressed. That something like this can happen. I can't imagine what those who had family members impacted or who lost their son or their daughter or their father, I can't imagine what they're going through. And, even being so far away from the event, I feel sad. And so, with those kind of three events that were going on, I was still, I was working, I still had homework for my MPH program. I have all these various side projects. I don't know why. I need to start saying no to certain things, but I still have a lot of side projects I was working on. And to be efficient with that time, during that time period, I actually started to work remote, just to be efficient. Don't have to get dressed, go into work, travel to work, to maximize the time I have, because I just had so little time. And in doing so, especially leading up, I don't know if you guys noticed from the video right now, but leading up to the midterm, I was right after work on Friday, I just hit the books, study, because my exam was on Saturday morning. And I got sick, and I'm still sick, and I feel miserable. Not as miserable at that time, but I was really miserable and feeling very, very sick. So I've been sick since that time, and I'm slowly recovering now. But it's just been miserable. It's been horrible. I have a hard time saying no to different projects. And, in the reality of things, there's only 24 hours in a day. and you can only do so much. So one of the things that I do to, get as much done as possible is I literally schedule every little thing into my calendar. So I know, okay, if this task is going to take 30 minutes, and this task is going to take 2 hours, or this task is going to take 40 minutes, then I can't do tasks 1, 2, and 3 on this day. I need to move to the next day. So I try to be realistic with what I can actually do, and I try to schedule it in. The impetus for this video is truly what happened in the very last week. So this week that just occurred, I had a lot of stuff scheduled after 5 p.m. Work is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and afterwards it's free for all. I have side projects, homework, personal time, whatever it may be, I have something scheduled. In the last week that passed, I did nothing. I literally did nothing. Not that nothing was scheduled, there were a lot of things scheduled, and I was aware of them, but I consciously ignored them. I just felt super apathetic. It was just not great. But I'm happy. I think it's getting better because I actually made the video today. So that was good. There's always good to look for the positive in things. And I think the one positive that came out in the last 2 weeks is that I had a lot of time for reflection. I just reflected a lot. And one of those overarching questions that I asked myself, and I always ask myself, but more so in the last 2 weeks than before, was like, are the things I'm doing truly worth it? Is the sacrifice worth it? And when I think about that, a couple of things always come to mind. The first thing is like family and friends. Throughout all the years that I've been in pharmacy school, pharmacy residency, and just like even the work now that I'm doing, almost feels like a residency because there's just so much to be done, that the time I lost and the experiences I've lost with family and friends. Life is truly not about materialistic things. It's always about the experiences you have with your family and friends. And throughout those years, I think about, there's so many things I've missed out on. And even now that, because I've taken on so much responsibility, I still miss out on a lot of family and friends type events. And two that always come to mind, there's been so much recently, but in the past, two that always jumps out to my mind are two of my cousins' weddings. One's Mabel, who's actually a pharmacist, and she's out in California. I missed her wedding, and then I missed my other cousin's wedding, Tammy. And it's an experience that I wish I had, and I look back on, and it just kind of sucks, and it makes me think, is the sacrifice worth it? And the second thing I think about is like travel. I certainly do more travel, and I don't do no travel, but there are so many things that I want to do, and so many places that I want to explore and travel to. And I think the big difference now for travel is that, I'm in that sweet spot. These are like the best years of your life to do traveling and to like go explore, because, I'm in between that phase of like, I'm not a broke college student or not a broke pharmacy student or pharmacy resident anymore. I can actually eat something that's better than fast food, even though in the last 2 weeks, I think I've eaten a lot of fast food just because of the amount of stress I've been in. But I can actually afford more than a $5 Happy Meal. Happy Meal is the best deals, by the way. But, I'm in between that phase and like having a family and having kids. Once you have those kids, and even though I don't have kids, from all the friends that do, it's just an insane amount of time. I'm not ready for that. But I'm in that sweet spot where, I can actually go places and actually have time to go places. But I don't make that time, and I try to, and that's where you see some travel come through, but not as much travel as I would like. So that's just something else that I always think about. And then the third thing, like when we talk about when I think about how important relationships are and everything, and you guys probably don't know, I don't think I've ever really talked about this, is that I actually broke up with my girlfriend back in mid-October. So it's been a few months now. I think it's been okay for the most part, but in the last few weeks at least, the process of moving getting things over. She was actually living with me for quite some time, and the place we moved, or the place I moved out of, had a lot of our memories that we've kind of collected over the years. We were dating for 2.5 to 3 years, sometime in that time frame, and there was just a lot of stuff that I had. A lot of stuff that I moved over here is a lot of the memories that we made over those couple years that we were together. So it's certainly, it's difficult, and I think a big part of the breakup was, just the time that I'm devoting to other things, my career-wise, climbing that ladder to success. For everything you want to do, there's always an opportunity cost. And I think that, one of those things, and I attribute a large part of the breakup to that, because I'm still chasing all these different goals and dreams that I have professionally, that one of those opportunity costs was my girlfriend. Thinking and reflecting on those kind of things, it kind of reminds me of that quote. It was something like, people may spend their entire lives climbing the ladder of success, only to find that once they reach the top, that the ladder has been actually leaning on the wrong side of the wall. And so those questions come up, is the sacrifice worth it? Is the path that I envision myself going down into, is it the correct path? Am I doing it right? Are those decisions I'm making along the way, are they correct? So it's difficult. It's very difficult. And again, like I was saying, the one positive thing is, like, it's always good to reflect back on these kind of things to evaluate where you are in the process, at least for me, where I am in the process now, and if truly these are the steps that I want to continue to make. Anyways, guys, I'm not sure how many of you guys are going to watch this. Thank you guys if you did. This video at least was certainly very therapeutic for me. I wish it was more therapeutic for my cold, but it's not. It's nice because, like, growing up, I've always had some type of outlet to kind of release my feelings to. In the past, it's always been writing. I used to do a lot of poetry, by the way, and I did a lot of writing in blogs, and I've been doing that for years. So now it's been kind of transitioning to YouTube, and I think I haven't really done much of this kind of stuff yet, like personal type things. I still do more writing in my blogs and some of my personal writings that I haven't shared publicly, but this certainly helps. I think it's good to have that outlet to express your feelings. Otherwise, you just like keep it canned in, and it'll just kind of explode. So that's not good. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in and watching the video. If you like the content, definitely hit the ImproRx button over to your left to subscribe, and definitely check out more videos over here to your right. Now, as always, if you have questions, comments, and even better, suggestions for future videos, definitely let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, until next time, guys.